Hey there, what is up guys? My name is Caleb. Welcome back to my channel. Last week I neglected to provide you guys with a video, so I just got home after being gone for a little while, so I'm throwing this together last minute using the script from last week's video and the plan from last week's video that I ended up messing up and I ended up having to scrap. So we're going to redo that today, get this out to you guys quickly, hopefully be able to get you guys a video this week, and then we can resume back to normal with a weekly upload schedule starting next week with something that isn't so last minute and thrown together. So today we're going to be talking about my approach to building a wardrobe, how I built my wardrobe in the last couple of years as I had a pretty major style shift, and how I would recommend doing so for you guys in the future. I think the first thing is going to be to decide what style you want and to really solidify your expectations as well as your inspirations. For me, what I did was I looked at a lot of the brands I was interested in, and then I went and conglomerated from either Instagram by saving certain posts into like the little saved boards that you can create, or going on Pinterest and putting together Pinterest boards that were all the different styles I was interested in and all the different outfits that I really enjoyed. For me specifically, this was like an American traditional style, and so then what I did was I went through all of the pieces that I felt like I needed and I put them in a separate individual document. Once I had all these individual pieces in a document, I then took them and I ranked them by level of importance. So for example, here I have written down, for me, the most important thing to buy first, because I already had some jeans that I felt fit good and some t-shirts I felt fit good, was boots. I then moved on to denim that I felt I needed, and then shirts, and then finally jackets. This was kind of the style push and the change I made, and that's the order I chose to make it in. I went from like a skateboarding inspired style to kind of the American traditional style that I'm wearing right now and that I've been wearing recently, with heavy inspiration from historical outfits and historical styles specifically. The next most important thing is going to be to measure all of your clothes to make sure you can buy your clothes and not have to deal with any returns, and to make sure you're buying stuff that is fitting you correctly. This is especially important if you're changing styles and you're going to be changing the style of something specifically that you wear. For example, if you're used to wearing low-rise pants and you decide to start wearing high-rise pants, knowing what the different measurements are going to be and that you're going to need is going to be very important. For pants, you're basically going to need to know every major measurement, but you're especially going to need to know your waist size, your front rise, and you're going to want to know what the leg opening is, and that will kind of tell you the general gist of how everything's going to fit, obviously, as well as the inseam, depending on how tall or short you are. I also think very important, especially when you get into a new style where you're buying something you're not used to buying. An example would be moving from a style that is very sneaker focused to a style where you're going to be wearing a lot of boots, is to make sure you are measuring your feet. I think it's important to use a Brannick device, but I would also recommend not just using a Brannick device, but also getting a tailor's tape, the soft tape measurers, and measuring the actual dimensions of your feet as well. For example, recently I bought a pair of boots from White's, and I was able to actually specify the size I needed and find out that I needed a non-standard boot size because I was able to provide them with my foot measurements and not just provide them with my Brannick size, which was very helpful. The next thing I would say, I think for a lot of people, they can be drawn in a lot of different directions where they want to look at different styles and try out different things and kind of try out what's new to them. I think that can be a big difficulty in building a cohesive style that's really easy to wear. For example, when I first became interested in American heritage clothing and traditional American clothing, I was kind of pulled between a traditional workwear, the militaria style that's very popular, and a western wear style. And as I bought pieces here and there from these three different styles, I found it to be very difficult to put them together into different outfits. This isn't an issue that everybody has. I know that for me, I am very much like a tunnel vision style person, so it is a bit of a difficulty, more so for me than for other people, but I do think it's a good piece of advice is to really focus on one style first, to kind of set up what your rules are going to be for that style and how you want to dress, and then to slowly expand and kind of break those rules as you've kind of set up a really good base and a foundation for yourself. So for an example would be that as I was buying stuff, I basically only wore one pair of black boots, a black belt, and two different pairs of jeans that fit almost the same for the first about 1.5 to 2 years that I was interested in this style, as I continued to buy other pieces. And that was my main foundation of my wardrobe that I used as a foundation and a rock, kind of the bedrock, to support everything else as I went on, tried out different styles as far as different styles of shirts and jackets, and I continued to expand my wardrobe as well. The last little thing is going to be, especially for if you're interested in kind of a niche style, like obviously American Heritage style is going to be relatively niche. You can always find people who buy things and then realize they're not interested in them, and you can find a lot of used stuff very easily. I find stuff from Mr. Freedom, Free Note, Real McCoy's, all these different popular American Heritage brands that I'm really interested in on Grailed all the time in an almost new condition for at least 20, if not sometimes 40% off. You could get them for even more than that. For example, I got my Mr. Freedom blue jacket for $1,100 instead of $1,600 in a basically brand new condition, just because it was already used, and I was able to get a really good deal on that. You're obviously going to have to be a little bit more open. You won't always get the specific item you're interested in, especially when it comes to limited runs. This can also be a bit more difficult when you're buying boots, as once someone's really broken in a pair of boots, it can be a difficult transition to get yourself into a pair of boots that's molded to someone else's feet. That's just going to be some general advice for today on kind of my strategy behind building my style. I think if you're looking to make a large style transition, actually making concrete plans like this, although it might seem kind of silly or dumb, can be very important, especially when it comes to the fact that you already spent money on the clothes you own and you're about to go and spend a bunch more money on the clothes you're interested in buying now. It's important to come at it from a very well-planned and strategic point of view to make sure you're not wasting time, you're not wasting money. Obviously, none of us are sitting there, or very few of us are rolling in money and have unlimited budgets, and especially that's something I dealt with as I switched this style. I was like a sophomore in college, and so as I started becoming interested in dressing like this, I did not have a lot of money. I could only work a certain amount of hours. And even now, as I've left college and I've started working more full-time, obviously there's still tons of budget constraints that you really have to worry about. I hope this could be helpful. Please let me know what you guys think. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll check you guys out next time.